Welcome, welcome. And December 23rd. And the question that we've just asked was, how are you on this morning, this afternoon, this evening, this now? And who is the you? Notice how at any given moment in time, we can become aware of multiple waves, multiple facets, or multiple parts, thoughts, feelings, sensations arising. It's never really any one correct answer here. See if you can allow yourself to encompass all of the answers, all of the parts, all of the waves. Imagine your body as a body of water, encompassing all the waves. And allowing them to be. The ocean doesn't have a preference for any one particular wave. Just how when we tune into the experience in this present moment, there's a very rich multiplicity and diversity of objects, inner objects that we can be aware of. And if we ever so gently peel away from any particular one, we can be aware of all of them. At once, within one screenshot. If you've just joined us, we're just asking the question, how am I? Then, like the ocean that is aware of the multitude of waves on the surface, there can be a multitude of answers from different parts within the awareness of self. Self being the ocean, the essence of water, shared with the essence of the water within parts. And there's no right or wrong answer here. There's no better or worse. If you find yourself in judgment of the state of your experience right now, that's going to be another part. Just notice. Notice what is here. See if you can let this next 40 or so minutes not be a time of attempting to attain or fix or heal or change, but simply being. Being with whatever unfolds in every moment. And if there are any parts here that are concerned with doing, healing, or fixing, see if you can let them know that they can collect their roles in 45 minutes' time. But for now, we're tuning into a sense of being with. Maybe, just maybe, introducing the notion that there may not be anything to fix or heal. There may not be a problem here after all. Viewed from the point of view of self. Allow softness, playfulness. Allow the breath to be however it wants to be. Notice if the body wants to move in any particular way. Readjust, take up a position that feels nurturing and supportive of this moment. And letting any sighing, yawning, stretching, letting yourself to luxuriate in being human. We can learn so much from animals. Cats are such fantastic teachers. When a cat rests, it rests. When a cat eats, it eats. When a cat plays, it plays. It does one thing at a time. Completely immersed and lost in this here, this now. Is it possible to be immersed in being? How spacious can being be for you? Time of the year can be particularly difficult for some parts that are longing for family, longing to belong, for easeful, joyful, playful, peaceful interactions with loved ones. This is a fantastic opportunity to introduce these parts that are longing to the inner family. Can you imagine the festive table in your inner world and welcoming all the parts at this table as a sacred, honored guest? What kind of food is at your table? What kind of food each of the parts would prefer? What games? What films? And each part might have a preference for what they really enjoy or what they really crave, long for this time of the year. What really fills the heart with joy. If you can welcome all of that at the table of your inner heart. And if more parts join, keep expanding the space. Keep adding more tables, more chairs. Be comfortable bean bags, maybe comfortable sofa chairs. There's space for everyone, for every traveler, every guest. There's space at the inn. Even the most forgotten, even the most exiled, the darkest parts of ourselves. There is space even for those parts. No one will be turned away from this table of your inner heart. If you can keep inviting, keep making space. In my culture, on Christmas Eve, we traditionally leave one space, one empty space for the guest, for a lonesome traveler. And see if you can, after your table at your inn is filled up, see if you can leave one more space as an invite for a guest who may be forgotten, lost, who maybe feels unwelcome, unworthy. hungry ghost. This may be the first time that your inner world experiences a celebration, an invitation to join the Christmas table of your inner heart. Each one so very welcome. Is it possible that these parts that have been longing to belong in the outer world, is it possible for now those parts to find belonging in the inner world? There may not be vacancies in the outer world. All the inns may be closed. But if we make a U-turn and return to the cradle of the heart, the core of our being, we find that it's always open. Self is always open 24/7. Which is rerouting, returning to this inexhaustible fountain of peace, love, contentment, fulfillment. Redirecting these parts from projecting outward attempting to get their needs met in external ways. And we're instead turning around to face self at the inner altar. This is your holy place. This is your sacred place. This is where parts can finally come home and find eternal belonging. There's no space sweeter, more satiating, more nourishing, more fulfilling, more majestic than being in the heart of self. It is how there's, within the stillness of self, there's the perpetual flux and movement of the parts. Both are unfolding at the same time. the oceanic space of self is capable of encompassing all of the waves and being aware of all of the waves at once. Being aware of the perpetual movement, shifting, coming, dissolving, dissipating, returning. This is the changing appearing in the changeless, the form appearing in the formless. As one wave arises and dissipates, another one, and another one, and another one, rolling in, rolling out, moving across like clouds through the space of the sky of self. And it may appear that we become stuck, or we become firmly attached to a particular appearance, particular cloud, particular wave, particular object appearing in the awareness of self. But if you really look within, is that true? Or do we momentarily become attached or veiled by a part, and then it dissipates, and then another part surfaces, and that dissipates, and then the other one might come back, then that dissipates. So we feel we may be stuck, but really it's quite impossible to be stuck. There's a natural arising and dissipating of everything. As one thought fizzles out, another one arises. And so we can invite these thoughts, feelings, sensations, parts within the openness of the sky or the oceanic space or the table. In the inner heart. And self doesn't impose limits on how long these parts can stay. Self knows that everything changes. Naturally, effortlessly. Self doesn't hurry. Self doesn't have an agenda. Self is the permanently open guest house. Just how it feels for any parts of you to hear that the space is always open. That they won't be rejected, resisted, abandoned, bypassed. Notice if they can really receive this knowing. This is where they can find rest. This is where they can find warmth. This is where they can find belonging, home, nourishment. This is where they can finally satiate their desire for food, for water. For for recognition, for validation. This is where they'll never be turned away. Or banished. If you find yourself in this gentleness at the inner altar of self, this belonging, this peace, this is how we can approach and meet the world. During this festive season and in each and every waking moment of our life. Over time, we become aware of any sensation that feels colored with a sense of pain, a sense of lack, sense of unworthiness. Let that be a sign to make a U-turn towards the inner altar. Let that be a sign that we've attempted to find belonging elsewhere other than the inner guest house. We've temporarily become veiled from or separate from self. Or we believe that we're separate from self. and the distinction in between believe and the reality is important to make, because a wave may believe it is separate from the ocean, but it is not. Every time we find ourselves exerting our energy, reaching out into the world, and finding our attempts for warmth not met, let this be a call for love, and let that call be heard and returned by self, to self. And redirecting, returning, reinstating the belongingness in the inner world, within self. We come to the end of this meditation. Take another gentle scan through the inner world, including the body, sensations, thoughts, feelings, any wisdom, insights from the different parts, any memories, images, and simply allow it to be. And becoming aware of the body as it is on the surface that you're sat on. more intentionally becoming aware of the breath as it enters and leaves the body. And when it feels right, opening your eyes to orient yourself around the space that you're sat in. Kind eyes, soft heart, extending this belonging that the parts feel within the inner world, extending it out to the outer world. And preparing your parts to return to the group setting. Wishing you all a very blissful, happy, peaceful, festive season.